Hi, friends, and welcome to 15241 Today Talk. Jim Brender and I have a chance to sit down with one of my favorite people, ladies and gentlemen. We've become friends we've been friends a long time, and he's a global manager for Delta Airlines, been with Delta for 42 years. I'm talking about Von Campanella, and Von, I want to start by thanking you. Not only do I cherish our friendship, but I also am deeply indebted to you because every year when I put my golf tournament together, you and Delta Airlines offer tickets to be a part of our raffle. Thanks very much for doing that. Let's start with you. York, Pennsylvania, Suzanne, high school sweetheart. Your parents, music teachers, correct?
Yes. So yeah, I grew up about 4 hours from here in York, Pennsylvania. Suzanne was a year ahead of me in high school, so I call her my cougar. And we dated in high school, had a lot of fun together in high school, then kind of went our own ways, separate ways throughout college. And then after college, we got back together. And I'm very, very lucky and have been very, very fortunate to be married to Suzanne all these years.
Did she know that you had this love for the airline industry and for flying?
She found out very quickly. Yes, she found out very, very quickly. And when I first started in 1978, that was pre-frequent flyer program within the airline industry. So planes were literally 50% full, 60% full. And on your days off as an airline employee and as a junior airline employee, you had Tuesday, Wednesday off, or a Wednesday, Thursday off. So they were very, very good days to travel. And I did a lot of that. And it was. I actually lived in Boston at the time. I started my career in Boston, Massachusetts, and we had a nonstop flight every day to Bermuda. So it was real easy to just get down to Bermuda for your days off for a night or two, enjoy the beach, have a few cocktails, sun and fun. So yeah, I traveled literally when I was living in Boston. You just traveled on your days off because you could, and planes were always available. So it was a lot of fun.
Vaughn, I got to know Vaughn through you, Lanny, but he's also a neighbor. And looking over his resume, there's not too many people that work for the same company all their adult life. And I just think his background, why don't you talk a little bit about that, Vaughn, rather than me? The fact that you loaded planes and prepped planes and started at the ground level.
That's very much, that was, and to a degree still is, very much Delta's philosophy. Very, very fortunate. How I got started in all this is when I was 15. My parents took us on a trip all across the country that summer by air, and I just fell in love with it. We went all over the country, I think it was 8 or 9 different airplanes out to the West Coast and back, all throughout the country. And as I like to say today, it sure beat the back of the station wagon, because the other trips that we took were 12 hours to Kentucky or to Alabama or places like that. And I just fell in love with it. And I decided when I finished school, I want to try to work for an airline, and applied with Delta and was very fortunate to be hired. So I moved from York to Boston, Massachusetts, and actually started in air cargo, loading. Cargo's fascinating, especially in New England. We had just, when I say tons of flowers every day from South America, they got to come from somewhere, and flower shipments, greyhound dogs, lobsters, a lot of seafood, with the research at the universities up there, laboratory mice. Just you'd be surprised what goes in the belly of an airplane. But and also to and from Florida, unfortunately, we had a lot of human remains. People who went to Florida to retire and passed away down there, and they'd bring them home to their final resting place. But started in our air cargo. I didn't really like that because, especially because I liked talking to people and being with customers, and there wasn't a lot of very much customer interaction in cargo. So I went to next to in-flight, working with 650 flight attendants. And that wasn't bad, but I realized I better not stay there too long or I'm going to get in trouble or kill myself. And went from there then to cleaning airplanes, cabin service, and that was really one of the most fun jobs that you had. Just a fun day on the ramp, a day like this when the sun's shining. Airplanes come in real quickly, quick change, you get what they need, restock them, talk to the flight attendants. It was just so much fun. And then we did the deep cleaning of airplanes overnight, which it's really quite funny because cleanliness of airplanes today now is getting back to the standards of what it was in the late 70s, early 80s. So it's funny to have seen that come full circle. And then I moved to Washington, D.C. to work the ramp. Again, loading airplanes on the ramp. It's a great job with the guys, a lot of fun. Safety is always obviously very, very important, but worked the ramp, worked the ticket counter, and then 1984 was very fortunate to get into a sales role right there in Washington, D.C. I was a sales rep for Delta in Washington, D.C. Did that for about 5 years, and then moved to Greenville, South Carolina, got into a leadership role, was in Greenville, South Carolina for about 4 or 5 years, and then moved here just as our kids were getting into first grade. And to be able to move into a township like Upper St. Clair when your kids are just starting school, it's very natural because you're just meeting families, you're meeting parents, you're getting set up here with doctors and churches and all that stuff. So I've been, then I've been a sales leader the past 30 years, and just it's been very, very fascinating because no week at my job is the same. Almost no 2 days are the same, and I've learned so much. Delta's culture is just like no other. I mean, they genuinely care about their employees, and they care about the communities that they serve, and they've taught me an awful lot, which I'm very, very grateful for.
I want to talk more about your son Ben and Caroline and Suzanne a bit more later on, but I want to jump on your comment about being in Washington, D.C. And I should also mention that you and I met because for a number of years Delta was the official carrier of the Pirates, and you were on a lot of our Pittsburgh Pirate charters. But in Washington, D.C., did you have a chance to get to meet any U.S. presidents?
I did, actually. Very, very, very fortunate. I covered Capitol Hill. I covered the State Department. I covered the FBI. I covered CIA. While I was in D.C., I met Ronald Reagan. I met George Herbert Walker Bush, and who am I missing? Jimmy Carter. So very, very, the government was much more accessible and easier to call on back in the day. I'm sure it's quite
those presidents weren't flying Delta; they were flying Air Force One. But how was it that you interfaced with them?
I actually did meet 2 of them flying Delta. So,
oh yeah,
yes, Ronald Reagan. I was.
This was before they were president.
This was before they were. Well, actually, Ronald Reagan was campaigning. He and Mrs. Reagan, and then Jimmy Carter lives in Atlanta or outside of Atlanta, and he's flown Delta to and from Washington more times than I have. So he's a very, very, very regular customer. And then I actually met President Bush at Wolf Trap one evening, which is a performing arts center in Western Virginia.
I was going to ask what that was. I didn't.
Yeah.
Interesting people.
They are. They are. Just I think nicer than you would even think, because I can't even begin to comprehend the demands on their time, and just people are coming up to them constantly. So, and then we also saw the presidents a lot. While we were living in D.C., Suzanne was working at the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, and the presidents would show up unannounced at certain times for performances, so you never knew when they were going to drop in. But we enjoyed our time at the Kennedy Center also.
Vaughn, normally we try not to date these shows, but we're interviewing you in June of 2020 and coronavirus, etc. How is Delta Airlines, and how do you think the airlines are doing, and how will they do as this pandemic continues?
Well, that's a good question. It's a very serious time for the industry. When you look back at just the past 5 years in a row, they were literally the best years for our industry. Delta in particular made $6 billion year after year after year for the past 5 years, and then literally in March, the rug is pulled out from underneath our feet, where just people are not traveling. No one is traveling. It was a mass exodus to get people home from Europe, home from China, home from South America. And now many countries are still locked down. So you can't just go to Europe because you can't get in the country. Or a country like the United Kingdom, you travel there today and you're in quarantine for 14 days. So people are not traveling yet. There's very much a pent-up demand for travel, and I think it will come back. But it's probably going to take, I would say, 18 months to 3 years before we see the demand that we had a year ago. On a given day at Delta Airlines, we were carrying 550,000 people. Right now, we're carrying about 50,000 people a day. So that's somewhat intentional. We're purposely capping the coach cabin at 60% inventory. We're blocking middle seats to provide lots of space between people, because people, what we really need to do over the next months is restore trust that people are getting on a clean and safe aircraft, that the airport experience is clean and safe. And then it goes beyond just the airplane, because once they get to their destination, first of all, the customer that they're calling on has to be open for business, that they can go in and see them. And then they have to have, the traveler has to have a positive car rental experience, or Uber ride, or taxi, or hotel stay, and restaurant experience. So it's going to take time. The industry's working very, very hard, and I think Delta is truly leading the industry in this. A lot of companies are coming to us saying, we like the way you're doing this. Can we learn more from you? So it's going to take time, but there's no doubt about it. People will be back. The air transportation system for our country, it's very, very important, and people like to travel by air. They're used to it. It's very, very affordable. So it's going to take some time, but it'll come back.
What do you think? Like after 9/11, there was a lot of changes in security and so forth. What changes are going to be permanent because of this pandemic?
Well, there certainly will be changes, and it's funny when you talk about 9/11, because we didn't have the strict security procedures then, and that was introduced, and now people are used to it and they think nothing of it. But I think I don't know what all will happen, but there will be permanent changes. I think particularly on international departures, most international departures, temperature checks will be a standard protocol. Also, possibly domestically, that may happen at the TSA checkpoint for all domestic travelers. I can see things like that. Certainly better use of biometric screening, so that there are less touch points, so that you can board with your phone. You don't have to hand paper to someone else. They give it back to you, etc. But changes are coming, and I think for the most part, people will be very happy to comply. But the travel experience is going to look different next year and in the years to come.
I'm just curious. Do you think facial masks will be standard, or will we eventually not have to do that?
I think that will probably follow the timeline of an immunization. So as soon as that is developed and implemented, we'll probably see masks go away. We also might see something like basically a document that you can prove that you've had the vaccine and that you're very, very, very low risk or no risk. So I think that will be developed as well.
Pittsburgh. What are your thoughts about the Pittsburgh airport and its future?
We are, very, very fortunate in this town to have the airport that we do. Christina Casotis, the CEO of the airport, I think she's been here maybe 5 years or better, and she's done just brilliant work. And for a population and corporate citizen community that we have in Pittsburgh, we have a fantastic airport. The airport is hurting just like all the airlines, just because if we're not flying, their revenues are down. But it was disappointing because they were just on the cusp of almost, breaking ground on the new airport or the new improved airport facility, and now that's on hold for obvious reasons. But we've got a great airport out there, great leadership at the airport, and I hope that they continue to do the great job that they've done, because they've done a great job.
I think you're right about a great airport. I guess from reading about the changes at the airport that they would like to make, it just seemed to me that they were spending an awful lot of money to repair a pretty good airport. Do you have a comment about that?
Yeah, and I've been asked that question a lot. It's a good question. It's a fair question. It's a very big number. It's over $1 billion, but
Right.
it's not taxpayer expense. Most of it is through the revenues generated by the tenants, the airlines that are there, and they also were very progressive in securing federal and state funds. So the airports of the future, the airports of today, the best airports out there, are very, very much focused on green space and natural lighting, and the exact blueprint that they have for the new airport. My favorite airport in the world is in Seoul, Korea, and that is exactly how it is set up. And it's just magnificent. I mean, I know I'm an airline guy, but I think the plans that they have in place, you would be very proud of. And as corporations grow and decide where they want to be headquartered, air service is an essential part of that decision. So, the bigger, the better airport that you have with good, frequent air service to key business markets, that's where corporations want to set up. And then if there are, tax advantages on top of it, all the better. But I think they know what they're doing, and they'll do it right.
The train out to the gates, is that going to be eliminated?
That'll be eliminated, yes. You'll be able to drive up, in essence, to the ticket counter, and then the gate areas will be immediately behind that, so you won't need the train anymore. And another big plus for the Pittsburgh airport is they have ample land mass around them to do whatever they want to do. Washington National Airport, landlocked on the river. Philadelphia, landlocked on the river. If an airport if it's locked geographically, it's much more limited, and Pittsburgh does not have that problem.
No, not from what I can see.
All the traveling that you've done, do you get a chance to know some of these places when you visit? Are you there long enough to understand about the society that you're visiting?
Yes, I guess it would. You could relate to this. You probably had favorite bars and restaurants on the road during your days with the Pirates, because you were in Chicago a couple times a year, et cetera, et cetera. So yes, and it is really fun, especially on the international side, to go into a restaurant or a bar with friends, with customers in South America where they know you, or within Europe where they know you. So it has been a lot of fun, and that's, I think, one of the things that I enjoy most about travel in my job.
So where are some of the favorite places you enjoy traveling?
I've been very fortunate. I've been almost all over the world. I'm fascinated by Japan. Tokyo is very, very interesting to me. It's probably the cleanest city that you'll find anywhere, and they are all about order and respect and hierarchy for people and the elders. And they're just fascinating, beautiful, polite people. I love the Mediterranean, obviously, Spain, France, Italy, Germany. The Mediterranean culture has a lot to offer, pretty neat. China, Hong Kong, parts of China are just fascinating. Lots and lots and lots of people, but still lots to learn. The Asian culture I'm kind of fascinated with, because in many cities it's a combination of the old yet the new. And you look at Hong Kong Harbor and rich Asian history and culture, but at the same time the most spectacular skyscraper buildings that you'll ever see in your life. I've been to Dubai 3 times, and that's just just a fascinating country that's not that old. Literally was built in the 70s, on sand. And you want to talk about some opulence and beautiful hotels, the best of everything. Again, and at the same time, lots of great history. So it's an amazing world out there. I've been so fortunate to see it, and I really feel you can go to other hemispheres, but at the same time, at the end of the day, people are pretty much basically the same. They're just trying to provide for their families, make a better lifestyle for their children, and a smile, a good, genuine smile. It looks the same regardless where you are in the world.
Suzanne travel with you very much?
She has. She does not have the travel bug that I do. But yeah, we've had a lot of nice trips together. And as much as I am traveling by myself or with my team, anytime that Suzanne and I are together, I really enjoy it.
I noted in some of the information you gave us that one of the things you enjoy about your job is this interfacing with your team.
Yeah, I have. Currently, I have a team of 8, and they are 5 of them are multinational account managers. So they're covering corporate customers all over the world. They are very seasoned. They're all probably 20, 25-year Delta employees. Very, very, very self-driven, experienced. They know their job like the back of their hand, and we work really, really well as a team. My management style is one that I am very much hands-off. I give them a long leash. I have said a couple times, the analogy that I use is it's like being the manager of a baseball team, where you have 8 star players, and I maybe have a little bit more experience, have played the game, but I just kind of watch and observe, and every now and then might tell them, lift your hands a little higher, play a little deeper, just from afar. But my team, I also think each one of them have unique gifts and are good at something. So you bring that out, bring out their strengths, what they're really good at, and then share that with everybody on the team. Very much a team concept in everything we do, and it works pretty well. It works pretty well. But I love managing people, and I love helping them accomplish their goals and getting to the next level.
You mentioned 5. What is the job of the other 3?
The other 3 call on a corporate and agency portfolio in Columbus, Ohio, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. And then my multinational account team, their customers are all over the East Coast, all over the world.
Now, your team, they're not just located in Pittsburgh.
No. In fact, none of them are. So all over the East Coast.
Oh.
I want to ask you about your family, but I mentioned earlier that your parents were music teachers.
Yes.
You never thought about being a music teacher?
I didn't. I didn't. My mother taught elementary music her entire career, and my father taught high school music. And then actually the second half of his career, he was a high school principal. But they were great teachers. They taught me so much. Just a good moral compass. They taught me a good, strong work ethic. They taught me to be positive. And as I like to say, they gave me my wings to do whatever I wanted to do. But yeah, so no, we had, I have 2 brothers, and neither of them became teachers. My daughter did become a teacher. She's a 2nd grade teacher in the South Fayette School District.
Caroline.
Yeah.
Do you play a musical instrument?
I do. I'm actually a percussionist. I used to play with bands, drum set, but then what I really like to play is the timpani, and I play timpani and percussion for our church. I'm a member at Westminster as needed. Certainly enjoy that. Chris Hesswood does just a tremendous job leading the choir there.
Let me go back to Caroline. Mm-hmm. She is at South Fayette. You said teaching.
Yes.
Where'd she get her degree?
She went to Penn State, and Penn State University, boy, they taught her well. They taught her well, and she was very, very lucky to come out of school and get a teaching job right away. So she literally hit the lottery. From the time she was this big, she played teacher in her room. and just absolutely loved it. She said from day one, I want to be a teacher. And so she, like myself, is fulfilling her dreams.
What is she teaching?
Second grade.
Second grade, okay.
Yeah.
And now Ben.
Joe.
Joe, I know at one point played the violin, didn't he?
He did. Yes, he did. All throughout high school and college, he went to Grove City, majored in mathematics. He didn't get that from me, I can assure you, but had 4 great years at Grove City. He played in the orchestra up there as well as on the golf team, and he's now working for Federated Investors downtown.
Great. And golf is a great hobby of yours, isn't it?
It is. It is. Boy, and in Western Pennsylvania, it's about as good as it gets. So yeah, I played high school golf. Back when I was in high school, anybody that just went out for the golf team and showed up made the golf team. I think we only had about nine guys, but I fell in love with it at an early age, and fortunately, through my job as well, I've been able to play a lot of corporate golf and make a lot of just great connections. And there's truly nothing better than being out on the golf course with a group of good friends on a beautiful day on a beautiful golf course.
Why did you and Suzanne decide to live in Upper St. Clair, and how much has this community meant to your family and its growth?
You know, we thought about the North Hills, we thought about the South Hills, and ended up in Upper St. Clair, primarily just because there's no township like Upper St. Clair. I mean, the school system is just unbelievable, world class, top notch. We like the size of the community. We like the facilities that the township offers. The library, Suzanne actually works on the child's floor in the Upper St. Clair Library part-time. Just the sense of community here, you know, the churches that are around, and then of course the proximity to both downtown. When I first moved here 25 years ago, we had an office downtown in One Mellon Center. Proximity to downtown location as well as to the airport is ideal. So it's just, it has been a fabulous, fabulous community for us to live in, and I can't say enough good about it and would recommend it to anybody who's considering moving to Pittsburgh.
You're not thinking when you get to retirement, will you stay here, or do you think that you and Suzanne will find a place somewhere else to live?
I see us staying here versus going elsewhere. If we get away for some time in the winter, it might be for short term, couple of months here or there, but we like it here a lot.
You're not thinking about retirement, are you?
No.
I can tell. Guys that really love their job and what they're doing.
Yeah, I've been very lucky. I do love it.
Now, do you spend a lot of time working from, even before the coronavirus, working from home, and do you like that aspect of your job?
Well, we've been working from home probably the past 15 years now, but I travel almost every week. So I'm gone much more than I'm home. And I like it a lot. We actually moved out of our offices when I remember it clearly when Caroline was in 3rd grade, and I remember, so Joe would have been in 6th. I remember, you know, the days that I'm home, to be able to hug and kiss your kids as they walk out the door in the morning and see them get off the school bus and give them a hug and kiss when they get home, that's priceless. I mean, that's truly, truly priceless, and I enjoyed that most of their school years. But I have it in my veins. The travel bug is just something that some people enjoy traveling more than others, and I love it. I think I shared with you, it's a natural impulse when I see or hear an airplane fly overhead, I look up. Because,
I do too.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that airplanes are a part of my life, and so I travel a lot. It's great to be home, but I do travel a lot. I jokingly say Suzanne and I have been married 36 years, but I've only been home for 25 of them.
Jim Render, I'm sure you would agree with me that this guy, Von Campanella, is one of the world's great people right here.
Yeah, absolutely, and as you know, we've had a lot of great guests on our show, but Von, you bring something to the table that is fascinating, And I hope that the people that watch this show will enjoy your comments and your job descriptions and your enthusiasm. It's really come across, and I thank you for coming in today.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you so much, and what a joy it has been to be friends with both of you for all these years.
Vaughn, God bless you, and Suzanne, and Joe, and Caroline. Vaughn Campanella from Delta Airlines, our guest. Our coordinating producer is Linda Dudzinski, and our producer-director is Glenn Ward. Thank you for joining us for this edition of 15241 Today Talk.